Good evening, everyone. My name is Benjamin, and today we're going to be resuming our look at the 2022 Senate elections. And we're starting off with Georgia. Georgia, sweet Georgia. This is the seat that was up in the special election this past year. So the incumbent is Raphael Warnock. And he won very narrowly in an unusually high turnout runoff election. Now, before anybody says, what do you mean? Turnout in runoff elections is typically extremely depressed. And a lot of off-cycle special elections are also extremely depressed. It's just the way it is because most people are like, well, the main election happened anyway. This was a very unusual election because it, along with the other Senate seat in Georgia, was critical for control of the Senate, so both parties were throwing everything they had at it. The Atlanta area has kind of grown a lot more Democratic leaning, and we may actually at some point see even Fayette County flip. So you've seen it. That's just the way Georgia's going right now. It's really the Republicans need the rural areas to turn out more than they do. In order to win this, they also need good candidates. Warnock is almost certainly going to run unopposed in the Democratic primaries, and it's just who are the Republicans going to nominate. Right now, they have none who are declared. For a while, David Perdue had filed paperwork and was looking to run in this seat, and I think he would have certainly been favored to win. Now, normally I favor the incumbents, but this is one of those Senate seats where I think combined with the new election law that Georgia passed, which you can have your own opinions on it, I don't see the suppression unless they start shutting down balloting places and all these other things in areas that are predominantly Democratic. That would be suppression. But the law itself, I don't see it as suppression. I just see it as ending practices that the Republican Party wanted to end anyway. Both Doug Collins and Kelly Loeffler are interested in running again. Collins might be able to beat Warnock. Loeffler won't. There are a few interesting other potential candidates. I've got a list of them up. One of them already has an endorsement, by the way. But let's go through the ones I find the most interesting. Vernon Jones, who was a former Democratic Party member of the Georgia House of Representatives, he switched parties last year because he, decided that the Democratic Party doesn't represent him anymore. And then we get, some people have mentioned that the Chief Justice of the Georgia Supreme Court should run for the Senate election. That's Harold Melton. I'm skeptical of that one. And then the most interesting one, in my opinion, someone who in Georgia will have zero issues with name recognition. If you live or have lived in Georgia and don't know who Herschel Walker is, shame on you. Shame on you. And yeah, Herschel Walker he's been listed, and I'm going to be honest with you, it's not the craziest notion I've heard. He's actually had political positions before. He's, though admittedly all in the Trump administration, so grain of salt there, but I don't see him as somebody who hasn't thought out his beliefs on politics without taking serious time to consider them. And by the way, Donald Trump has already endorsed Herschel Walker if Walker wants to run. Uh, so take that as you will. Obviously, Brian Kemp isn't going to run for this seat because he is running for re-election, and that is going to be a very tough battle for him. I would normally say that because Warnock is an incumbent, and you should generally favor incumbents and err on the side of the incumbent, that he'll probably win no matter who the Republicans nominate. Georgia is kind of an inelastic state, basically. There's not a lot of swing voters, but there's more than, say, in a Nevada. So there is play in Georgia, and the reality is that I think given the totality of all of the situations that are going on, the new voting law in Georgia, the fact that it's going to be a Republican favorable year, and the fact that I think the Republicans, as long as Doug Collins and Kelly Loeffler aren't running or in the general election, I think the Republicans are actually going to pick a decent candidate with few weaknesses. And, well, I'm going to tilt this one towards the Republicans. I think this is a fairly easy flip if they get a decent candidate. I'm going to put it as safe Republican if Herschel Walker actually does run. I may be biased on that one. Anyway, we're going to flip over and talk about the next seat, and that's Hawaii. And this is safe Democratic. I can't even find out whether or not Hawaii's Republican Party is even going to attempt to put a candidate up. It would be kind of a shame, but Hawaii's Republican Party is kind of dead. Like, people joke about the Arizona GOP being on the edge or dying, and people joke about, say, even the Virginia Republican Party kind of being in that zone. Hawaii's Republican Party is kind of, do they even actually exist? So, yeah, there's no way Hawaii is going to flip. This is a state that it would take quite literally divine intervention for the GOP to pick up. So, anyway, I'm going to end it here. Likes, comments, and subscriptions greatly do help, and I tremendously appreciate them. If you know anybody who would like the content, don't be afraid to share this channel. I would really thank you a lot. And important links are down in the description below. So, thank y'all, and have a very, very lovely evening. I'll see y'all on Wednesday.